Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Caristana from the studios at TVU, and welcome everybody to this first Roundup live session regarding cyber security, where we will discuss again all the concepts that we were facing last week. Roundup means repetition of all the concepts of some chapters workers that are following our courses. So this is a good reason to do a roundup. So let's start soon. Let's only give a couple of minutes, 2 minutes, so the others will join this roundup session. Okay, just 2 minutes and we will start. Let's now check all our content, so we will discuss immediately. Very good. I'm checking. I'm just, if we are able, we will also have, okay, let me say hello to the people. We will also have, okay, let me say hello to the people joining. I invite all the members to introduce themselves. So with their name and with their city where they are watching this live session of cybersecurity level basic. And this is the first session of Roundup. A Roundup is let's say, repetition of concepts that we are at 8 p.m. Rome time here in Italy. These are the studios of TVO Broadcasting Station. In this studio, we also have the Mediterranean Academy of Cultural Diplomacy. We are partners with IBI Nigeria and Ibuni e-learning platform. I'm the developer and the director of this new platform for Africa and to give back the greatness to Africa. So we will try to do our best to shape and to build the proper identity of a wonderful continent. Now, let's see if we have some guests. So we have somebody that are saying hello. I'll say hello to Uroko. And just 2 minutes or 1 minute, and we will start. If I'm able tonight, I would like to introduce also a group from Marrakesh, Morocco. They are directly involved in cybersecurity because we are talking about one of the biggest groups of cybersecurity that I personally discovered in one of my last trips in Marrakesh last month. These are wonderful students that are ending their university course in the Qadi Ayad University of Marrakesh, where there's a dedicated department. Let me read now. It is something really nice. So tonight, the special guest is the cybersecurity group called CyberCore. The leader of this group is Alima. I will do my best to introduce her in this live session. And they study in the department called Cyber Defense Engineering and Embedded Telecommunication Systems from the École Nationale des Sciences Appliquées, Marrakech, Morocco, Université Qadi Ayad. So a special guest for tonight, where we will start sharing our experiences, not only with keynote speakers like me, not only with people like you that are really interested in cybersecurity, but we are going into details. We are going millennium. Everything must be yet imagined. Everything must be yet dreamed. So we must build a new digital architecture in this age of interaction. Give me some minutes. I will start now sending a message to called CyberCore. and it will be something really nice. It will be something that we will hopefully be impressed about. So real experiences coming from other nations. So let me now start a Google Meet link with this special guest, and I'm going to do that now immediately. Just give me 1 second. In the meantime, I will let all the others join to connect now. So tonight we'll have this special guest called Cybercore, a group of students of Cadi Ayad University. This group is something really new. The leader is called Alima, and we will invite this group, and they will talk about their experience, what they are doing to improve the field of cybersecurity, and their detailed approach in many sectors of cybersecurity. I'm generating the link to invite the group, and in the meantime, let us give a couple of minutes for the other members to join this live session on cybersecurity Roundup first edition. This is the first time we're doing a roundup. A roundup means that we are repeating some concepts. So we are repeating some concepts. So I'm launching the link to introduce our special guest of tonight. So give me some minutes and we will immediately send the link and see this um, meeting with this group. In the meantime, I would like to say hello to all these people joining. Uroko, Victor, Dominique, my name is Okeni. Uh, hello to Glow with Serenity, Jonathan, Annie, special greetings, hello, and many others. Let me see if I'm able to launch the Google Meet link, so I will send the link immediately to our guest. Couple of minutes and we will immediately join. We're launching the Google Meet link, and hopefully we will at last invite for if there are not technical issues, as usually happens when we are live. A lot of people are getting, are doing meetings and connections at this time. So, okay. Okay, so in the meantime, I would like to say hello from Otman Abdzerak. Hi from Morocco. Great. Okoye Chigadu. And Robinson Ugu. Ikba Blessing. So let me see if we are able to. Okay. I think, yes. So let me see if we are able to. Okay. I think I'm sending the link to the group and link is sent. So let's see what happens if they're able to do this live meeting. Live meeting with our special guest. This is the first time we are doing something like this. So I sent the link, and now we will have a shorter discussion. Let's see if they are able to introduce themselves, because as you see, technology is useful to join minds all over the world. I'm in Italy. Our special guest is in Morocco, and you guys are who knows where. Admit. She admitted. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Hello? Hello? She's joining. Let me see. Trying to get connected. One second, please. Okay, so maybe there are some issues with the connection. It happens. Okay. Um, Let me now share the screen. I'm sharing the screen. Okay. How do you hear me, Alima? There must be some issues with technical. No, this time we are not able to get connected. No. Okay. So this connection failed, and we will proceed with our. Let me see again. Just checking microphone systems. Hello? No. Let's proceed. Let's proceed with our. Okay. So this connection failed. It happened, and for some kind of reason, I'm not going to go through. So let's proceed. Next time we'll try to invite them, and we will do a better connection. There are so many issues regarding line connectivity not working well, but we tried, and we'll try to do our best next time. So let's start our roundup and our course. I'm connecting now to the course, and we'll go through all the concepts. I'm sharing my screen to start the course, and here we are. Yes. So we will start, and we will get back to something that we discussed in the last session. In the last session, we discussed some. How is it possible to talk about and we are not talking AI ecosystem? So, in other words, I will now see some parts of this page. Supercomputers today exist in Europe, Jupiter, and is located in Germany. 793 petaflops. Lumi is based in Finland. These are data centers of supercomputers. With no power, a nation goes nowhere. So today, when we talk about artificial intelligence and when we talk about cyber security, we are talking about data centers of supercomputers located in many places. The other one is called Leonardo, is a huge data center placed located in Bologna, in the Technopole area of Bologna. And then we have so many others. In Spain, Barcelona, Mare Nostrum. Okay, let's stop now the sharing and go back to our screen. So why must we talk about data centers? Why must we talk about cybersecurity connected to data centers? Lines means digital architecture where the information flow is transferred from one point called A to another point called B. Data travels all around the world, but to travel, it needs power of calculation, power of combination. We must take care about. Power of a calculation, in this case, can be expressed as data centers where the power of calculation is measured with petaflops, but not only petaflops. What are we talking about? So let me go through now a screen, really useful. I'm sharing now a link. In this case, okay, here we are. I'm copying and pasting a link here so we can check together. I will also send it to you. Really interesting link about the power of, let me go through now the screen. Okay. Yes, perfect. So when we talk about the cybersecurity, in other words, we're talking about data loss. To avoid the data loss prevention, so-called DLP. DLP. Now let me with you. Okay. I'm sharing now the screen. Give me some seconds. Okay. Here we are. Sharing. I'm sharing the screen, entire screen. Yes. Hello. Okay, let me go. So, cybersecurity on one side, data loss prevention. So, DLP, how can we protect data in cases of attack? What is a DLP? Data loss prevention refers to a solution that detects and prevents data breaches. Cybersecurity solution that detects and prevents data. Which are the main advantages of a strategy like this? It identifies sensitive information across multiple premises and prevent accidental data exchange, protects data, educates users regarding the awareness of AI, the automation of processes, monitoring data access and usage, and control. Studio. If you have any questions regarding this roundup of cybersecurity, you can start doing many questions. Since the beginning of the course, we'll go through chapter 1, and then I will start with chapter 2 and chapter 3. Let's see what happens. Okay. Chapter 1. Yes. So let me now share the screen. Sharing entire screen. And now let's go through the slides of chapter 1, chapter 2. Where a roundup that we are doing is something regarding the course that we already discussed about in the last session slides. So the introduction regarding one of the biggest hackers whose name was Kevin. Okay, he was one of the first curious, genius guys that understood the value of information when other information as an asset, as a strategic asset. Today, it is common to many people think information asset. For 25, 30 years ago, it was not so common. So he had a different perspective of reality and the layers of information. We are now on slide 4 regarding chapter 1 of cybersecurity. Encryption and many ways to protect the pipeline of information, data flow. But this is something that must not be attached with computers. No, absolutely not. When were having phone companies at the end of the 18th century, there were phone companies like Bell's famous telephone company. And in that period, there were technicians, not really hackers, but technicians that were exploring the possibilities to handle data and to generate information flow. So when we talk about cybersecurity, we must not consider cybersecurity as something regarding the era of PC. But there were also data breaches, data leaks, and people trying to break through electronic and analog systems, also centuries ago. First computers. Obviously, we don't have to talk about cybersecurity because that is not enough. We must talk about the ecosystem of hardware, software, operating systems. And operating systems usually some like a maze, leaving some paths free. In other words, many operating systems are for purpose designed to be tracked. This happened today. Talking about the two breaches of Intel, Spectrum, and let's go on that concept. It's a really interesting concept. I'm going now on chapter 7. This was really interesting. In the meltdown, there was a circuit, the meltdown concept. Here it is. Security vulnerability, meltdown. These were vulnerabilities inside circuits. So sometimes board circuits like Intel, but also many other most common circuits like Toradex or Arduino or Raspberry are designed not with the highest level of perfection. And for purpose, sometimes some free paths are left empty. Meltdown is one example of what happened. But called Spectra. Spectra is another example of how during the development of boards, for purpose, there were free paths. Inside the architecture of a board, there was a free path. In other words, a free path means that only the designers of boards knew that there was an exit door, not a back door, an exit door where the information was free to go away and where technicians with the proper knowledge were able to walk in. These two famous cases, Meltdown and Spectre, is history. This really happened. In other words, Meltdown and Spectre worked on all kinds of operating on hardware, on boards. It worked on personal computers. It worked on mobile devices. You have this chapter, Meltdown and Spectre, on chapter 7, and you can check them on the links. One path. It's like you're going in front of a jungle and nobody created a path before. So you are in front of a jungle and you have to create a path to go on the other side. In this case, the path was already done, and only technicians with a map to understand where to start and how to enter were able to go into these boards and go into these digital architectures. To do what? To steal information. Data breaches, data leaks. On which kind of device? On hardware. These are so-called hardware vulnerabilities. These hardware vulnerabilities sometimes are done on purpose, not mistakes. So this explains that sometimes the life of hackers is easy when they find hardware vulnerabilities. Let's stop the sharing and go back. If you have any questions regarding hardware vulnerabilities, it is really important. So you can ask it. Let's see, Hoffman. Okay, what's the best way to protect data flow? So Otman Abderazik is asking the best way to protect data flow. In other words, there's no best way. Ask yourself, how are you seeing a browser? You must think the opposite way. We are here. I'm not here to transfer concepts of a book. I'm here sharing my experience. But why am I sharing my experience? I'm here to let you understand that in a society with a high level of hypercomplexity, we must have a behavior called design thinking process. We must have different perspectives of the same object. We must have different perspectives of the same situation. I'm here not to explain concepts where you can easily learn by yourself, reading pages and pages of books or go on Wikipedia. No. I'm trying to transform yourself from an end user into a power user where you can trigger your imagination. I'm here to trigger your creativity, your vision of the third millennium. The third millennium, the society of the third millennium still has to be built, and will be built by people like you if you have a new approach of reality. Because we have too many versions of reality. Devices around us. We have cutting edge technology that changes every day. So we are in the middle of the perfect storm. We are in the eye of the perfect storm. So how can we defend ourselves? How can we go slower and give us time to think? Because one of the reasons why we are in a swiveling society too fast, they don't want us to think. So we must get our time to think. That's why we have to trigger into our mind our personal approach of observation with different levels of perception. When I say perspectives, I mean we must have different levels of social perception. Is this really interesting today? Yes, absolutely. If you think a moment, pulling us too fast ahead is pushing us too fast behind. So we are sucked into this storm like a tornado that sucks you, doesn't give you time to understand where you are. Today, to defend the data, and in other words, to defend your identity, we must generate our own info space. We must generate our own bubble. We must float inside this bubble as a shield. So we must put the boundaries around us, the three famous circles I was talking about last time. I was talking about three famous perimeters. The first perimeter is around you. It can be your office, it can be your department, to defend your data. The second perimeter is outside the building, where data is transferred outside your building, outside your office, outside your department office. The place where the second perimeter starts, because the cable that goes out of your building is connected to the first node. But as we know, what is internet? What is the cyberspace? It is a connection of cables. What kind of cables? All kind of cables. I will let you see in one of these slides that I prepared. I'm going to the slides and then I will see your questions. Okay. I'll see your questions. Let me share now the screen for a second. I'm sharing now my screen to show you when I talk about the boundaries, when I talk about the perimeter. I'm sharing my screen. So in this case, when I talk about boundaries, now you are seeing all these green lines generates the cyberspace, it generates internets. These are undersea cables. As you see, internet submarine cables. Let's see something more clear. This is the third endless perimeter. It's all the connections of all the nodes. That's a third perimeter. This is where your information is going. Right now, I'm in Italy. Let's see where I am now. I'm here, Roma, here, Calabria, here, and Africa, here. This is the third info space, the third perimeter. When I was talking about how to, you must think like a hacker. Your mindset. Let's go back to the studio. To respond to the question of how to defend our data, you must think like a hacker. Where do you start defending data? On the tip of your fingers. When you start pressing the buttons of the keyboards, that is where you are starting to defend your data. You must at the same time understand that when the buttons of the keyboard, you are generating data. You must know that the second step is your first perimeter, is your office, is your department. Structured information is precious. When you close your computer, you already sent all these packets of information. Wait a minute, I said packets. Did you ever ask yourself how a browser works? Do you think a browser works with a non-stopping flow of information? No. The information that you receive on your browser is divided in small packets. Small packets means that your computer is talking to many web servers. Your computer is sending a signal that goes and comes back. What happens is a handshake. Handshake means that these two computers with a signal are matching. Comes back is small pieces of information. Why does this happen? Let's go back to history when internet was not internet, but was called ARPANET and was used only in military and defense sector during the 50s and 60s, a long time ago. We were in the Cold War. The transmission of information was strategic, and there was no way to send one whole phrase, content of a book in digital format. So they decided to split the information in small pieces, in packets. That's how your receiver receives information on your computer, splitted. To go back to the question, how to defend data, you must change your mindset. At the moment, information. So that moment on the tip of your finger that touches the keyboard, that's the magic moment. You are starting generating information. And soon after, you must know how to handle information. Considering that your information will leave your office, will go through an email, can be sent through Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, satellite, and whatever, and can be detected. Today, there are so many small devices, like a smartphone, so many small devices that can scan the jungle of information, can scan and decrypt in real time. I will not like to promote. If you put on Google uh, devices that scan information, a lot of stuff will pop up. Okay. But if we think like an ethical hacker, I can say one word, Flipper. Remember Flipper, Flipper 1, Flipper 2, and so many other devices that are able to detect information and encrypt in real time. So you must know that you're not alone in your room. There are ears listening, eyes watching. Also the sound of the also the sound of a keyboard can be detected with new technology. Okay. 15 years ago, I was in a mission in a non-European country, and I went in a bunker deep 50 meters. This is my personal experience. And the problem was how to protect the sound of a keyboard. The sound of a keyboard was required to be protected because outside there were so many devices able to decrypt the encrypt message. I would like to read so many questions arrived in this moment from all you questions. So I think I replied to Otman Abdel what's the best way to protect the data flow? The best way to protect that, oh, now there's a Alima. I will say Alima will be our next time. I hope that the connection will work. So Alima and the cybersecurity group from Marrakech University of, so the group is called Cybercore. This group was a special guest, but we will find another day and we will invite them a second time so they can also express their personal opinion regarding the cybersecurity field. And their university course is called Cyber Defense Engineering and Embedded Telecommunication Systems. They are from the École Nationale des Sciences Appliquées, Marrakech, Morocco, Université Kadi Ayad. So as you see, also in the best African universities, we find the best brilliant minds studying cybersecurity to make our society more safe from many, many criminal attacks. Let me go through other questions. So Alima says the best way to protect the data flow is to encrypt it and control who can access it. That's true. Godwin King, what are the ways of protecting data flows? Godwin, we are talking about this issue. We need to prioritize authentication and securing access roles and endpoints, adds Otman Abdedaris. She's a member of the cybersecurity group. Their ways are the ways are encrypting data, limiting access, and checking for changes. But I prefer to let them talk by themselves. So next time they'll be invited to this live session of a cybersecurity. I will be glad to offer them a wonderful space to describe their personal experiences. Now let's go through. Okay, we'll say hello to Oge. He arrived right now. Now, the last part of our session, because it's already 45 minutes after 8, and this is only a 1 hour live session roundup. I would like to share my screen again. Okay. Centers in Europe. So the European High Performance Computing Joint Undertaking, the so-called Aero HPC. In Europe, there's a huge program leading Europe to the European Supercomputing Highway. In 1994, I explained in the last session, 1993, also a year before, was talking about the highways of information. The President Bill Clinton and Al Gore were promoting at the beginning of the 90s the highways of information. And during this time, the high-tech empires grow so fast that they're now ruling many sectors of our society. In Europe, last year, I'm sharing the screen. Last year, 2000, I'd like to show this timeline. Okay. In 2024, the Artificial Intelligence Act was approved by the European Commission. Okay. Why is this important? If we think for a minute what was happening in the Valley of High Tech, the Valley of High Tech was the valley where all the big empires were born, like Google and many others. But the law frameworks had no laws. So these high-tech empires were growing so fast with no rules, with no law frameworks. Only in 2024. So we left 24 years since 2000. And only after 24 years, the activities of these high-tech empires. But if we go back from year 2000 to 1994, we find another couple of years where we gave them so much freedom to grow. There was a huge lack. Not only high tech, cybersecurity is also the nation with the highest level of awareness, ICT awareness. But today we say artificial intelligence awareness. The highest level is last 15 years minimum. That's how these nations generated a competitive advantage. Today in the world, only few nations reached the highest levels of AI awareness. All the emerging economies and the emerging nations must start. How? From the bottom. This is not only necessary to start from top, from government level. So we can create local communities to share concepts. Sharing experience today represents a key role in accelerating the change of a society. Okay, so if we create a sharing experience among users who become power users and among citizens, democracy based on transparency, based on sharing of knowledge, of wisdom, and of intelligence. So that's why a cluster is really important in a local community. What is a cluster? Let me share with you. If I go on Google, I want to share a concept really important. So, Mars, Toronto. Clusters are concepts really important today, okay? This is a cluster based in Toronto. What is a cluster? Of innovation. A cluster is a place, a high-tech hub can be considered a cluster, where innovators have a place to do many, and to do experiment and to do research. Mars is a place where innovators create a better world. Something happening in Toronto. This is one of the examples, but we also have the Corridor Tech in Toronto. Corridor Tech. This concept. So not only Mars, creating impact. We must create impact. Okay. We must push young generations to do startups and to follow them. A startup becomes after a scale up, after the building of the prototype. And we see that the prototype works, demand on the market. So from a startup, it can become a scale up, a place of innovation. In Mars, where they also study how to handle data, cybersecurity. But here's something really interesting. Cybersecurity in healthcare systems. So how to use cybersecurity to protect the data of patients. Let me see if this further text is opening. In the meantime, I would like to stop and see your questions. Okay, what is happening? Is it network? Maybe there can be some lags. Okay, I will share again. I will share again the screen. Now there's a good connection. Okay. So what is the Toronto Waterloo Corridor? It is the biggest. It's a corridor tech. It's like Mars, a place of innovation. Are transferred at the speed of light. Experience must be focused to transfer ideas at the speed of light to generate an ecosystem full of knowledge. I would like to end this first part of this roundup. 50 minutes past, time flies. And I would like to give space to the members of this local community growing always at higher levels. If you have any questions or any questions, because within the 7 minutes, we will end this internet connection and this live session called Roundup, because we went through so many concepts. So if you have any questions or any observations, just drop a message and we will try to discuss about it. Okay, if not, we will, if not, okay, of our courses, okay. If there, so I would like to thank you for your time. We are reaching around 1 hour in this roundup where we are have been talking about concepts that we faced last week. So a roundup means to discuss again many concepts, ideas, and observations coming from students, workers, and members of this local community. Tonight we have new people coming from other nations, like Morocco, like other nations, not only from Nigeria. So this is a good point to expand this place of innovation, because Ibuni, as I explained before, is not a simple university online. Ibuni, e-learning platform, is a place of sharing experience, of co-thinking, co-working, and not only during your studies, but when students become workers, we will also follow your projects, programs into the marketplace, and also after or before the marketplace, and during research programs, scientific programs. So not only during the course of your studies. We are like mentors. So we are like masterminds, avoiding you to do and repeating always the same mistakes. So we have a larger, bigger experience. Sharing experience means to put the spotlight on the young generation to avoid them to repeat the same mistakes that the older generation did. So that's how we can speed up, we can accelerate without making the same mistakes. So we will tell the young generation and also the older generation, don't go that way because you will lose your time, you will lose your money, you will have big problems. So that's why moments and places and spaces like this are really, really important to share our experience, to trigger imagination, to trigger our creativity, to build in a faster way our prototypes, which become projects, programs, and can reach finally the focused targets. So it's time to say access it and do your own research to help or start reading all the contents of the slides. And once you finish the slide, you have to click on the checkbox, mark as complete. Okay. So thank you for your time. This is the first time we have been all together in this roundup. I tried to do a connection with a cyber core group from the University of Marrakesh, Morocco. It failed, maybe for internet problems, connectivity, but we will cross fingers next time. And I would like to thank their time because they fingers next time. And I would like to thank their time because they were waiting. So I would like to say thanks to the group CyberCore. They study at the Department of Cyber Defense Engineering and Embedded Telecommunication Systems from the École Nationale des Sciences Appliquées, Marrakech, Morocco, University Kadi Ayad. Thanks for your time. Next time we will try to get connected. That's all for tonight. So see you next time. Follow the timetable. Thank you all. Bye.